Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This video is going to look at why businesses might face conflict between their stakeholders because of the objectives of stakeholders. Just to confirm, I did kind of go through the main objectives of stakeholders in the last video, but it does state in the specification here that workers' objectives tend to be around maximising their pay. Local communities' objectives tend to be around minimising the environmental impact on themselves, and owners' main objectives tend to be around getting high dividend payment in return for their investment. I did go through that in the previous video, so I think by the time I've covered conflict between stakeholders, we'll have covered all of the things that we need to in terms of stakeholders that's in the specification. So what is stakeholder conflict? Well, it occurs when different stakeholders come into conflict with each other because of their different objectives. And we'll have a look at some examples to explain why that might occur. Well, customers and employees. Customers tend to want longer opening hours, and employees want to spend more time with their family. Therefore, businesses may need to pay workers to work antisocial hours and fulfill their customers' needs. Otherwise, employees won't be able to do that, and there could be a conflict there between consumers wanting convenient opening hours, i.e. businesses to be open in the evening and at weekends, whereas employees may prefer to be at home with their families at those times. What about the owners and shareholders of a company versus the company's managers? Well, remember that not all shareholders, not all owners can be involved in the day-to-day running of a business, and managers often are. Well, we saw in the spec there that owners want to be paid dividends, but managers may be more concerned about the long-term profitability of a company, and ensuring that they have a job for the long term and growing the company over time. Managers would want to often do, but this can conflict with some owners, particularly if they're quite short term in their view. They may want to make the maximum amount of dividends this year, in which case that would mean taking a lot of profit out of the business. But if the company is to grow in the long run, owners may have to accept lower dividend payments in the short term, so profits can be reinvested in the company and that company can be improved. But that can lead to conflict between managers and owners because they've got slightly different objectives. Finally, in terms of another conflict, well, the local community may have a conflict with the suppliers of a business. Suppliers are going to want to deliver goods at the most convenient time, which might be early in the morning before rush hour, because then they avoid their workers sitting in traffic for long periods of time, which is inefficient for the suppliers. But local residents might want minimal noise disruption. So there could be complaints about suppliers if they're delivering out of hours or at times that are particularly noisy. This isn't in the spec, however, it's probably worth mentioning that when we've looked at these different stakeholders, we're thinking, well, we're considering them as all the same. Of course, that isn't true. So conflicts can often break out within different stakeholder groups. So owners and shareholders. So one group of shareholders may wish to maximise their dividend payments this year, but another group may wish to reinvest profits into the company to incentivise the company's future growth. So there can be a conflict between owners, shareholders, between those two groups. One set of shareholders who are interested in long-term growth, one set of shareholders who want their money now, effectively. Employees often will have different conflicts. Some employees may wish to go on strike to demand higher wages. Other employees might see that as damaging to the business and damaging to the business's reputation, and therefore ultimately damaging their own employment as a result. So they may favour less disruptive tactics in order to achieve their goal. Finally, we see customers having conflicts between each other. Some customers demanding the lowest possible prices for clothes or food, etc. But others are prepared to pay more, so suppliers in developing countries can be paid a fair wage. So, there can be conflict as well between the customers within an organisation, some of whom are on particularly tight budgets, some of whom might believe that ethically sourced products that cost slightly more are what an organisation should be selling.